Well, good evening once again, and welcome to the Friday night study. As you could probably tell, I'm not doing this by myself tonight. This is my wife, Jeannie. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, that's good. It's the first time for us doing this, and so glad to have her alongside me and to share in this time. This year will be our 58th year of celebrating our marriage and our life together. So thankful for her and for the many blessings that we've shared in together, the blessing that she has been to me. And so just glad to have you with us to share a little bit tonight. For the last couple of days, other than when we shared together with Evan in our Some Good Seeds daily time this morning, Jeannie and I have been talking about Acts chapter 23, sharing back and forth together. And I thought, boy, I've had one of those weeks, and so thought, well, it'd be a great thing to have my wife come and share some of the thoughts that we've been thinking about together with our daily time in the Word. We read the same chapters and do our writing and everything together on that. So, babe, some of the thoughts that you had from chapter 23. The chapter obviously is the chapter about Paul being arrested and his time in front of the Jews and all those things that took place. So some of the thoughts that you had about, and we'll just dialogue about that a little bit.
Well, you've been talking about what, protection?
Yeah. God's protection. Yep.
Oh, the last couple days on protection. Yep. And so the place that Paul finds himself in this 23rd chapter is he's in prison.
Yes. And
he's at a very low point in his life because...
how do we know that?
Well, it tells us that he had talked to his biggest desire was to preach Christ to the Jews, and he had done that just recently. And, and it was a disaster. They just
got him arrested on the steps,
just totally a disaster. And so he's saying, Lord, what is this about? I thought that's what you had for me. And some of the brethren that he had loved had rejected him. And so he was really just wondering where and what was his life about at this point in time. It seemed all pretty much bleak. And the Lord said to him, "Be of good cheer, Paul. For as you testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must also bear witness to me in Rome." And so he knew that this wasn't the end of him. Because he could have been killed anytime. He was in prison.
Well, and we know that you speculated that he was down, that concerned, all that. How do we substantiate that? Well, this verse does that, because Jesus doesn't come to him and say, "Be of good cheer," if he didn't need some cheering up.
Exactly. Exactly. And so Paul set aside his past and reached for what God had in the future. And I think that's just such an important principle for us, to not dwell in the past, learn from it, go on, but to look forward to what Christ has for us. And that's what he did. And about that time, then his nephew came in, which is kind of interesting. Most nephews probably wouldn't even know their uncle was in jail, or you know what I'm saying? He's a teenager, right? But he did. He came into the barracks and he told Paul that he had heard a group of Jews plotting to kill him on the way to Rome. And so Paul told his superior that was there in the jail with him this. No. He sent his nephew, and he told him, "You go tell him what you've told me." And so the nephew did. He told him, and it went up the chain then until it finally got to the top, and they really believed, which is a miracle to me. Almost the biggest miracle of all.
That they believed this young boy.
And so they were taking him to Rome that night, and they took, 200 horsemen.
Caesarea. They were taking him to Caesarea.
Caesarea. To see Felix, is that who it was? 200 horsemen to guard him. 70...
200 soldiers, 70 horsemen.
Oh, yes.
And then 200 spearmen.
For one man. So
470 guys.
and actually it was just a group of 40 Jews. So I mean, they didn't really, but they were taking no chances.
10 to 1 was the odds ratio. 10 Romans for one Jew.
And so they escorted him in the middle of the night, and then it just shows me so much of God's protection for us. And I thought about our lives so many times, how we've been protected many times, not even knowing when we were
for
protected.
sure.
But after rehearsing some of the events and things, we know God was there.
Yes,
He
for sure.
protected us.
Yeah.
He kept us in His hand from going, for one thing, from going off the path. If there was ever a, we sometimes take wrong paths, but He swings us back to where we need to be, and that is so precious to think of His protection in that way.
Amen.
So I'm just so thankful for God's protection today.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Well, from all of this account, we definitely see God's hand in Paul's life. And I think one of the things that it speaks to me about is the need for us not to be in morbid introspection.
Exactly.
But to remember the things that the Lord has done, how God has kept us, how He has walked with us, and to, as the old hymn says, count your blessings. Because sometimes it will surprise us what the Lord has done, because we look at things and we just kind of take life for granted. But it's important that we reflect and understand what He is doing and saying in and through our lives, and just trusting the Lord in everything. Amen.
Amen.
What else? Got anything else in there?
Well, I've been doing some studying on the 23rd Psalm, which everybody knows.
Yeah. It's a great psalm.
It is, but we've talked a bit about that too. And, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And how that being a shepherd, His being our shepherd, and relating it to what a shepherd does with real sheep is so interesting. And I've been reading Philip Keller's book, A Shepherd Takes a Look at the 23rd Psalm.
Yeah, that's a great book.
And I just
highly recommend it for anybody that wants a good read.
Yeah, it's just
a real easy read too.
Yeah, just a short little, but the insights are so precious in there. And that we all know that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and we say that glibly. But when I really thought about what the shepherd does for the sheep, He is their life. Yeah,
for sure.
Sheep are just such
dumb animals.
They are, and they really can't do much of anything without their shepherd's care.
Right.
God the shepherd came to him and said, "Do not fear, be of good cheer."
Yeah.
He just could take that to heart. Because that presence was so calming, was so perfect in his life. And the thing that I really appreciated about the shepherd here, in relating to our life, he's never unaware of where we're at.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's with us day and night, though sometimes we want to leave him behind.
Or sometimes even wonder where he is.
Yes, yes. But he's not oblivious to our needs, as he was Paul. And that's our example that we can be so encouraged with, that he knows.
And have confidence. That's the thing,
confidence.
Yeah, just because sometimes our confidence is waning, we don't perceive or are not feeling, as it were, his presence. But what do we have of an assurance that he is in fact there? Well, it's his word that tells us that he never leaves us, or will he forsake us. So we know that as our shepherd, he's right there with us.
That's right. It's awesome.
Amen.
It's awesome. Well, there were a lot of things that I come to mind, but sheep are so, their first impulse is to run. When anything happens, when they're scared, when they're hungry, when pestilence comes, whatever, they run. And I just thought, mankind is fleeing everywhere, running everywhere, trying to find some satisfaction in their lives.
Something to be confident in, to hang their hat on about life. Yeah.
And all the while, God is our shepherd. God is there, wanting to direct, wanting to lead, wanting to give security. All we have to do is submit to him.
Yes.
As the sheep had to do.
Right.
Real sheep had to do to their shepherd.
Right.
When they were doing things that they shouldn't, he had to discipline them. And but they knew him, and they knew of his love, and it was all they needed. Yeah.
And they knew his voice, which is an interesting thing that Jesus talks about. My sheep know my voice. And it was his voice that brought that calming assurance to them. When they wanted to panic, when they wanted to run, it was his voice that brought the peace and the comfort that they needed.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
Great stuff.
Anyway, yes, great stuff. So
Amen.
you want a fun little read, Philip Keller.
Shepherd takes a look at the 23rd Psalm.
23rd Psalm. Yeah.
It's a great little book, short read, but really easy and really insightful. So may the Lord richly bless you as you take time to be in the Word, spend time studying to show yourself approved. Paul told Timothy, comes back again to one of the things that I've shared many, many times. Knees on the floor, nose in the book.
You've even got Clarissa convinced, right?
That's pretty amazing that she's convinced about the whole thing too. So, at any rate, hey, great to have my wife with us today. And next week we'll continue in verses 8, 9, and 10 in the book of Romans. It's a great study. I'm getting ready for that, but I just, like I said, one of those weeks. And but I just thought, man, it'd be a great time to have my wife come and share. First time to do that. So thanks, babe, for being here.
You.
She's a pretty good gal. I love her.
I asked him, now you can edit anything out, right? And he said, yes, I can. I said, okay, well then.
Yeah, but if I edit you out of the whole thing, then it becomes pretty boring. So at any rate, well, it's good stuff. All right. Well, may the Lord richly bless you tonight through the weekend. Don't forget to be with other brothers and sisters and worship on, well, some places have a Saturday night service or a Sunday, but be sure and spend time fellowshipping with one another. It's just so important to our life. And in addition to our knees on the floor and our nose in the book, we need to have that fellowship with one another. Amen. Amen. May the Lord richly bless you.
Amen.